entertainmentbuddha.com.
Dun da 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 dun da 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 wah 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 da 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 wah 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 da 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 wah 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 wah. Brand new episode of Star Wars Time. I know we took a week off. It's fine. There literally has been zero Star Wars news since the last time we talked, outside of what we're going to talk about tonight. Because, Nick and I, throughout this week, we're trying to build up our set lists. And as of yesterday, we're going, oh man, there's nothing. And then today, as it sometimes goes down, the Force gods shined down from the heavens, the galaxies from far, far away, and showered us with a smattering of Star Wars universe news. And it literally, Nick, right? I mean, it spans
everything.
Everything.
We're talking.
It's not just 9. It's not just cartoons. It's a gamut of topics.
Yeah. I mean, we're talking pretty much all eras here. I mean, I wouldn't call it a full-on, Imperial bombardment, but it's definitely a nice drop of material here for us to talk about. So we're going to talk a little prequels. We're going to talk a little Solo, talk a little Episode 9, talk a little Resistance cartoon series. I mean, we're covering, like you said, we're covering a lot of ground.
There's some good stuff. I mean, I still, and I know Nick would agree with me, I'd still love to be talking about fucking set leaks and plot speculations for Episode 9, but as Nick kind of said offline earlier this week, outside of that first 2-3 weeks of little leakage, there really hasn't been much, so they've kind of clamped down a bit. I mean, there's been some updates on that Black Rock set we talked about in I believe the last podcast we had, but it was very minor, right? It's like, oh, they added a fence. Oh, they added a rock structure. It's like, okay,
yeah, it's very small. I mean, if we were to talk about it, it would be minimal speculation at best. So
yeah, I mean, and we excel at bullshitting and pulling shit out of our assholes, but it just, there wasn't even enough substance to even grab a tapeworm-sized piece of shit out of our ass. So
yeah, it was not a lot. But today, like you said, I mean, we had some good material coming out from Ian McDiarmid. We had some Mark Hamill being Mark Hamill moments, and then also a little bit of banter between two Hollywood directors. Yeah, man, I mean, a lot of good stuff. And then even, for those of you out there who are not haters and, thought that Solo was a pretty decent movie, we had the drop of Solo digital. UHD 4K if you have that, 1080 if you don't. So
yeah, speaking of that, have you noticed, and I've caught it through some of my aggregators on social media, Instagram, so on and so forth, have you noticed some people coming out being like, oh wow, this is actually a really good movie? No, like the fucking idiots? I've noticed it more on Instagram than anything else, but Boss Logic, I don't know if you know him, he's like this big pop culture Photoshop superstar guy.
Yeah, I've seen a lot of his stuff that you post on.
But I mean, he tweeted something out, or like a quote or something on Facebook of like this group, or he was just pointing out like it's kind of odd to see these people that were so against going to Solo to kind of boycott TLJ now realizing how good it was. He's like, these fucking idiots. I mean, it's just like, why?
Yeah, I mean,
what was the point of that boycott? And basically, what he was saying is like, why would you forego a new Star Wars movie over your reactions to a previous film that aren't really even related?
Yeah, they aren't even connected in terms of like the material that's being covered. I mean, yeah, they're within the same universe, but I mean, come on, man. Like, I don't know. I mean, it doesn't matter at this point. It's something that we're going to talk about a little bit later when we get to John Kasdan's thoughts on Solo that he released recently.
But anyways, it's out, and I mean, if you've been listening to us and you trust us, hopefully you've at least seen it by now, because it is well worth seeing. But if you haven't, and you're just a lazy asshole, or you can't leave your home, now's your chance, and you might as well get digital. Honestly, people, it took me a long time to get over it. It's been a full year now of not buying discs, and it's the best decision I ever made.
Yeah, I mean, I have every new Star Wars movie on digital. I mean, I still have physical copies of TFA and Rogue One as well. But
yeah, I've not bought a physical copy of TLJ.
Me neither. I have the digital copy of TLJ. I have the digital copy of Solo. And, and the thing is like it comes with everything that the physical comes with. So you get all the special features, and sometimes they even throw in like a little extra. With TLJ, you got the score only cut, which was really, kind of a cool thing. So, I mean, it also releases
they're
earlier.
making it so obvious that they want us to buy digital too. I mean, we're talking 2, 3, sometimes a month before the physical comes out at this point.
Yeah, and I mean,
and the
4K...
price too. I mean, the Solo, they kind of screwed us for UHD. They charged a 25 sack, where I believe TLJ you can get for a 20 sack.
Yeah.
But dude, you go get a UHD disc in store, you're looking $30 minimum.
Yeah, exactly. And then you also have to ensure that you have a UHD player, which, I mean, if anybody has an Xbox One S or an Xbox One X, you're covered. But still, like, you have to make sure that your machine that you're playing it on covers that format.
Sony still has not dropped down the fucking firmware to allow that, have they?
For 4K UHD discs? No. And you know what's really annoying too is that Voodoo on PS4 Pro does not allow for 4K UHD streaming. So
no shit.
Yeah,
and you know what's funny? They're still fucking laughing at everybody this generation.
I know, dude. I mean, Spider-Man...
Sony has literally just said, hey, guys, we don't give a fuck.
No, because
we're just going to give you exclusive games, because in the end, guess what? That's all that matters.
Yeah, I was going to say, dude, they leaned heavily on their first-party developers, Santa Monica, Insomniac. I mean, they fucking brought the thunder. Sucker Punch with Infamous. I mean... That's how they killed it. Their exclusives fucking blew shit out of the water. Even Guerrilla Games with Horizon Zero Dawn is fucking fantastic. Sony may not be up to snuff in terms of, their firmware and support of UHD for physical discs, but, they kill it on the game front. Apparently this new Spider-Man game is legit as fuck. Probably the best superhero game ever made from what I've heard. So.
I've also heard that it's essentially just Batman Arkham Asylum with Spider-Man. So
yeah.
Which is a great thing. I'm not saying that's bad, and I actually just got it sent to me today. So because I'm kind of a dildo in life when it comes to things, and for some reason, even though I don't really play video games that much, let alone my PS4, I felt like I still needed that 500 million limited edition PlayStation.
Oh my god, dude, that thing looks pretty dope.
So I didn't get it when it launched publicly because again it was a 50,000 limited. But luckily, luckily through my EB life, I've met people at Sony, and he offered to sell me the one he got through being an employee.
Wow. That's pretty nice.
Yeah, so that showed up today for retail. Still it was $540.
Yes.
But again, I'm like, what the fuck do I need this for?
No matter how old you get and no matter how crotchety and how few games you play, you'll still be a gamer at heart.
No, I 100%. And it does come to that. I think there's some FOMO. I think it's the collector in me.
Yeah.
I just felt like I had to have one, so I did get one. And he sent Spider-Man with it and some other games. So
it's pretty sick.
I hope to dive in because I'm whipping the PS4 blank, like day one.
Yeah.
It's got a nice toast-made wooden cover on it, so it looks like a piece of wood, but it's literally PS4 ghetto. So I'm interested, if anything, to just see the enhancements it gives my PSVR, as well as I still have to finish God of War, and hell, I've never played Horizon, but I got the complete edition sitting there. So
I have Horizon that I've started. It's visually fantastic game, but I think like at this point in console generation, like most games are visually fantastic. But the gameplay is solid. I really enjoy it. I mean, Spider-Man, like, I haven't played a console game in a while now. Like, I've been playing a lot of Overwatch, Heroes of the Storm, PC games. Octopath Traveler on fucking Nintendo Switch. Picked that up for my plane ride. Really fun. But Spider-Man is calling to me, so I'm trying to resist. Anyway, we're here on a Star Wars podcast, people. So, in case you didn't know that, we just talked for about 10, 12 minutes about video games. But we're going to kick this shit off Star Wars style, going back to the farthest point in the movies that we can, at least in this news cycle. And that's back to the prequels, and specifically episode 3, where we got a little drop from Ian McDiarmid.
Yeah, how about that? How about that? I mean, we actually have legitimate prequel news, and we're not just bringing it up to take a big steaming shit on it.
I know, right? It's very interesting that it's just we're not using this as a segue to say that everything was terrible.
To just start vomiting all over it for fucking shits and giggles.
Okay, so just to preface it, that still may happen, but that's not the purpose that we added the story into the lineup today. But anyway, Ian McDiarmid, who plays Emperor Palpatine, Senator Palpatine in the prequels up until episode 3. He was at a basically a fan expo, Comic-Con, whatever, Salt Lake City Fan Expo, and he was doing a panel up there, and somebody asked him about Order 66 and everything like that at the end of episode 3, and he said that it was actually a little bit more gruesome than you ended up seeing. A lot of young potential Jedi ended up on the cutting room floor. So he was saying, you know, even expanding on that Order 66 was much more of a gruesome slaughter than it was portrayed on the movie screen. Because on the screen, I mean, obviously we saw, you know, hollow videos of Anakin kind of cutting down some younglings, but most of what we got was the betrayal of the Jedi by their clone troopers on different planets. We see Ayala Secura on Felucia get killed. We see Plo Koon flying his Jedi Starfighter get shot down. We see Ki-Adi-Mundi on, it wasn't Seleucamaya, but I can't remember exactly the planet that he was on. He gets shot down by his clone troopers as well. So it was a lot of that and not a lot of this carnage that Ian McDiarmid's talking about.
Well, he makes it out to seem like Return of the Revenge of the Sith would have got a hard R to get this shit in. I'm like, well, fucking A.
Yeah, and he's
why not? I mean, it could use something.
Yeah, and he specifically called out the young Jedi. So apparently there was a lot of footage from the Jedi Temple that was cut out. And I mean, I call this out as probably one of the coolest shots in the prequels. In episode 3 in particular, the overhead shot of Anakin leading in a whole battalion of clone troopers into the Jedi Temple. I thought that was very cool. But obviously we didn't get to see any of that played out in real life, aside from George Lucas's kid at the end kind of doing the flip over and protecting Bail Organa as he escaped. I really do wish that we could have gotten an inside look at the devastation inside the Jedi Temple. Obviously, we see the remnants and the bodies that were left on the ground, but seeing these younglings at least trying to put up a fight against clone troopers and ultimately Darth Vader, I think that would have been a cool addition to that film.
I agree. I mean, I don't really want to hammer on it. People that at least listen have come back. They know my thoughts on this movie. I mean, it's the worst prequel movie because of what it did to the character of Anakin and his alter ego, Darth Vader.
But what I do think is interesting here is that this kind of shows you Lucas's mindset for this trilogy. Like, instead of leaving those things in there and maybe having to fight for a PG-13, he cut it out in order to just easily make it into PG-13 land. So he had children and young people in mind kind of the whole way with this trilogy, it seems.
Well, I'm sorry, dude. My fucking headset cut out because of the cat. I hate this guy. What was that? It was right going into... I mean, the last thing I said, and then he cut my shit off.
No, yeah, I was just saying that, like, this shows that Lucas kind of had kids in mind the whole time when he was developing.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, I mean,
but I mean, the fact that he thought of potentially having some more gruesome deaths, though, I mean, I guess there's some hope that he wasn't going full on kitty.
Yeah, but then making that decision pre MPAA kind of showed that, like, okay, well, this was cool, but I know what my target market is. I know I'm trying to give this more to a younger audience. Probably shouldn't be in there. But it is interesting to see that he did kind of have something like that in there. I mean, if you think about the prequels as a whole, there's not a lot of brutality that you see. I mean, the most brutal part of it is probably Order 66 and what I described, like how these Jedi were killed, and then maybe Anakin going to Mustafar and taking care of the banking clan and the Separatist leaders. So, I mean, not a lot. I mean, well, yeah, Anakin kind of catching on fire violently on the ground right outside of the Mustafar magma lake probably was pretty bad too. But anyway, just some.
But he's got the higher ground, dude.
He does. It's the meme to end all memes. That being said, that fucking thing has lasted way longer than it should have. That meme should have died a long time ago.
But it's such a fucking cheese dick line and moment, though. I mean,
it is. Dude,
it deserves to be beaten into the ground.
Did you see the Christopher Robin memes where, like, this Pooh standing on a fucking... I think he was standing on, like, a shelf, and he looks down at Christopher Robin, he's like, "It's over, Christopher Robin, I have the high ground," and he's holding a lightsaber or something like that. It's so dumb. I mean, I shouldn't have even said that because now people are going to go look at it, but, like, it's funny, but God. It's just,
that's just something he's going to have to live with.
Yeah.
The line is almost as, I still think the worst line in the entire movie, if not the prequels, is and I never nail it word for word, but it's when they're on Grievous's ship and they get captured by a ray shield, and he's like, oh my, how could this, we're Jedi, how could this happen? We're smarter than this.
Yeah.
It's like, what the fuck?
Yeah, dude,
that?
It's like, you didn't need to say that. Just an exasperated sigh or
what
like
the
something would
have. What was that? I'd rather him say fuck.
Yeah, it's like, God damn it. Like,
yeah, like fucking shit.
Something, you didn't need to spell out that whole bit.
Yeah, it's like, I mean, literally, it's multiple sentences. It's like, oh. How could this happen?
And then, like, Anakin giving, it's like, Anakin was like, "Don't worry, just be patient. Yeah, R2 will lower the ray shields, and then we'll get out."
Dude,
and it was just like,
all right, next story.
Yeah,
I'm already getting angry just thinking about it.
Yeah. So now we're moving into episode 9 land.
What was going on back then?
I'll tell you, one of the problems with the prequels is that it didn't have Mark Hamill in it.
Yeah.
And I mean,
so Hamill had some good shit this week, didn't he? He's
did.
Always a fun. People. If you're listening and you're on Twitter, you need to follow this guy.
Twitter, Instagram. I mean, Hamill takes advantage of social media like nobody else his age does. I mean, he's a fantastic ambassador.
He's good at it. I mean, he knows how to work it. There's no doubt about it.
Yeah. So and the fact that this made a story was fucking hilarious because if you see the end of it, it's just ridiculous. So anyway. Mark Hamill has put out, obviously he's episode 9. It's been announced, and people, now that episode 9 has started filming, people are waiting for the title drop. What is the title going to be? It's not going to come for a while, I'll tell you that, because we're a year and a half out from release, year and 3 months. Anyway, Mark Hamill sends out a tweet September 13th at 12:43 p.m. that says, all capital letters, and then in quotations at the bottom it says "to be continued." ... So immediately people fucking jumped on it and was like, "Oh my god, he's gonna do a title reveal, or he's gonna like do some sort of title hint." So we get that tweet, and then at 11 hours ago, so this is around, I don't know, early in the morning on September 14th. Purpose is all capital letters, and then at the bottom in parentheses it says "continued." So, like, people jumped on this, and the title of this article is Mark Hamill teases episode 9 title because literally he typed the word "the" in capital letters.
Yeah, it's the non-breaking space to be continued. ...
Oh my god, dude. And then this article is just hilarious.
What the fuck are these people talking about?
Oh, this is just hilarious. It's just like, okay, and then it says, if this is indeed the first word of episode 9 title, it would mean that all 3 sequel films begin with "the."
Thank you. Well, dude, I mean, honestly, to me, the biggest broad jump is the first fucking paragraph.
Yeah, Hamill is involved in a lot of projects, so he could be playing with us, although following Ray Park's revelations that he was spoiling his return of Maul and Solo.
Yeah, I'm sure Mark Hamill is keyed in the Ray Park's fucking Twitter feed.
Yeah,
dude.
Come on.
What's this guy talking about?
Look, Star Wars is obviously...
This is Hamill being Hamill.
Yeah, I mean, come on. The dude puts out... I mean, if you remember leading up to episode 8, like, he basically said that everybody on the cast was his son or daughter.
Yeah,
like,
I mean, he confirmed that Finn was essentially Luke's kid. Yeah,
he's like, Finn, my son, like, just all kinds of shit. He did the same thing with Poe, and obviously he did the same thing with Rey.
Just, I think the point here, at least in this article, I don't know if anyone else picked it up, but Mark Hamill literally just tweeted the "to be continued," and at least this one site, JediNews.co.uk, interpreted that as he possibly revealed the first word of the episode 9 title. That is a mega jump. That's a fucking one of the biggest jumps I've ever seen. Just okay, yeah.
It's like calm down, buddy. Like, there's a lot of time left. If anything,
I almost give him credit for running with it. I mean, why not?
You might.
It could be. I mean, it could be the first word of Mark's memoir. It could be, something he has tattooed on his arm. It could be something he inscribes into restroom stalls. I don't know, but this guy just ran with, hell, if Mark Hamill's typing
it has to be Star Wars related.
And we know he's Luke Skywalker and he's in episode 9. It's clearly the fucking Star Wars title.
Yeah. I mean, there's no other logical explanation.
And the further proof is that episode 7 and 8 also started with the.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, just poor planning.
At this point, I think we have let our listeners down with our speculation and connection abilities.
Yeah, I really do think
I really think we need to just start making bigger leaps at this point.
Yeah, we need to start looking at, John Boyega's Twitter feed, Daisy Ridley, Mark Hamill, JJ.
We don't have to do that. We can just throw shit out there.
Yeah, we just start making stuff up. I mean, it doesn't really matter, does it?
It's like that one you brought up with the Making Star Wars guy talking about the upcoming Star Wars game. And he's like, well, I've heard it's going to be like Force Unleashed.
Yeah, he's like, it's going to be like Force Unleashed except darker.
Guess what? I heard it's going to be like Jedi Academy.
Yeah.
I mean, think about that.
Who knows?
My source told me it's going to be like Jedi Academy.
It's just so ridiculous. Just that, like, because you could say shit like that and it doesn't matter. If it comes out and it's a fucking RTS game, he's going to be like, well, maybe they made some changes in development, but...
Well, honestly, I think the reason Mark Hamill's handle is Hamill himself is because in episode 9, Luke's going to be by himself as a Force ghost.
Yeah, I think that's probably a good guess here. I don't think that he's going to be...
I have anonymous sources.
Yeah, I mean, somebody's told me...
They've confirmed it.
That he will definitely, at some point in that movie, be by himself. So... Right. I mean, if you think about it, there's a lot of places that he could be that isn't by himself. So is he not going to be on the Falcon? Is he not going to be on the Resistance base?
I've also heard from a source that BB-8 is going to introduce a new attachment in episode 9.
A new attachment?
Yep. He did the lighter in 7.
Yep.
He busted out the electric shock things in 8.
Yep. I mean,
I've got a strong rumor that he's going to bust out another attachment in episode 9.
That should be really groundbreaking. I mean, this is something that needs to be spread.
Yeah, I mean,
around the
it
whole
may
internet.
even be a blade or like potentially like a dark saber.
Yeah, it could be something to help the members of the Resistance get out of some kind of jam, so they could be caught somewhere.
It may be related to the original trilogy, because I've also heard that he has parts from R2-D2. When R2-D2 got shot during the Battle of Yavin, they collected those parts and built BB-8 with them.
That's why there was such a connection between BB-8 and R2-D2
and C-3PO. Yeah, they've always felt like brethren, because they're essentially BB-8 is made of R2.
Yeah, there was no getting to know you period there. It's just they're like a family.
See how easy it is? I mean, I could do this all day.
Just coming up with just
I could just come up with shit all day that you could sit there and be like, okay, all right, why not? Why not?
Yeah.
All right, so that was Hamill's little fun on Twitter. I mean, who the fuck knows? I mean, is episode 9 going to start with the? There's a great chance. There's also a great chance it doesn't.
Yeah, I mean, who knows? There's not. I mean, like, you can speculate about titles. Obviously, one of the more popular speculations right now is the New Order. But we'll see. We'll see.
I kind of like that, because it could play on both of the factions.
Yeah, it could be First Order. It could be Jedi Order. Who knows? But
it could be the new Resistance Order, the new Rebel Order. I mean,
yeah, true. So yeah, this next piece of news that we're gonna move on to is still related to Episode 9, specifically Luke Skywalker, specifically his death.
And this is, I would believe, canon too.
Yes, this is canon. This is Episode 8 news, not Episode 9 news. Sorry about that. So this is from the final issue of the Last Jedi comics series. So there's been a comic run that's coming out that's essentially covering everything that happened in TLJ. And
they've done it for all the new movies. I mean, they've done it for Rogue One, TFA.
It's a good way to get further context into, what we see play out on the screen. So and
some beautiful art. I mean, comic book art to me is some of the most intoxicating art out there.
Yeah. To
me.
Yeah, I mean, it's really, obviously Star Wars comics are now being done by Marvel, so you know that there's not going to be any sort of, sketchy artwork done here. No pun intended. They're not
the janky 70s, 80s Star Wars comics.
Yeah. I mean, these are legit Marvel quality comics. So, towards the end of the book, obviously everybody's seen Episode 8 who's listening to this podcast, and if you haven't, then what the fuck are you doing?
Yeah, we don't care. We're not giving spoiler warnings. You're an idiot.
Yeah, so at the end of Episode 8, obviously Luke dies. He succumbs to the Force after projecting himself across the universe to defend the Resistance from the clutches of the First Order, and we see him kind of fade into the Force on a rock on Acto. And this scene gives you context into what was going through his head at that moment. So it opens up with a scene of just him kind of, propping himself up, kind of laying forward on the rock as we see in the movie. We get a close-up of his face, tears kind of streaming down from what it looks like, tears in his eyes. And it says, "And so it ends as it began." The scene switches to a behind-the-back shot of Luke looking at the two suns, and then the caption says, "By the light of two suns," and then we see his cape floating.
It's the last three shots of the movie. It's literally the same things. He climbs back on the rock after being knocked down. You get the close up on his face. That's where he says, "And so it ends as it began."
Yeah.
And then you get the behind the shot where he sees the two suns of Acto, and he says, "By the light of two suns." And you get the final shot where he fades and the cloak dips, where he says, "Before stepping into a larger world." So it truly reflects
Episode 4.
Yeah, and he's saying it himself.
Yeah.
He's saying exactly, "And so it ends as it began," essentially saying, I am standing before these two suns,
just like I was on Tatooine.
Yeah, getting ready to step into a much larger world that I have previously known.
Yeah, exactly. So, mirroring his journey into becoming a Jedi, and now he's...
it's a fantastic sell. I mean, this is a great little strip here.
Yeah. I mean, it's... Because it is, I mean, like... The only way that we knew Luke so far in Episode 8 was how he was portrayed on the screen. So we didn't have any context into, like, what was going through his mind at the moment of his death. And having something like this to give further context and to really show that, like, his journey was essentially complete, like had come full circle, is really, really cool and really. But
he's also acknowledging that it's not even close to being over.
Yeah. I mean, he's stepping into the world of essentially everlasting life within the Force.
Oh, he's now. I mean, yes, Jedi are attuned with the Force, so they're technically connected to everything. But now he's literally a part of everything. He can be anywhere at any time in anyone's head whenever he wants.
Yeah, I mean, going back to Yoda on Dagobah, talking about how the Force functions and it surrounds and binds and penetrates.
He's everywhere now. Yeah. I mean, if he wants to fucking dip in with Kylo and fuck with him, he can do that. If he wants to say hi to Rey, he can do that. If he wants to fucking give Leia a high five, he can do that.
Yeah, absolutely.
If he wants to sit with the droids and fucking bullshit, he can do that.
Yeah, so Luke Skywalker's definitely not gone. And we will see him again in Episode 9. And I think that this kind of gives us a good bit of context into what his mindset was as he was making that.
Well, it reaffirms, I think, what Ryan had to explain to some people, but it's pretty much saying Luke was at peace with the way he ended things.
Yeah.
Like, he realized that he had to do something. He did it. He knew it was going to cost his life, and he was okay with it.
Yeah. So it's a really cool piece of art for sure, and it's also a very good insight into Luke Skywalker's mind as he, made his final acts.
I liked it. That's why I offered it up into our potential things to talk about. I mean, I like the art, and I thought it was a nice little, even though it's 3 very minor lines, it just added some nice context to him fading into the sunset.
Absolutely, 100% agree. Okay, so now
hold on, dude. I just scrolled down.
What?
Go down to the comments. From Professor Rabbit Shaver, clearly a normal person.
Hold on, wait. Oh my god!
Just look at it.
Fuck you, Ryan. Oh my god!
And then of course you have people chiming in like, "Oh yeah, we love you."
Yeah, what a...
And there we go. And that just turns into a shit show.
Yep.
Well, that ruins that, but it's funny. I mean, that's Star Wars now.
Yeah, comment section. No doubt. All right. So now...
Yeah, so let's kind of... I guess we're still on the new trilogy train with this next one.
Yeah. We're going to talk about... It's not even really speculation or any sort of hints at what could be coming in Episode 9, but this is a fun bit of banter or, a little bit of, behind the mind of one of the more famous directors in Hollywood, Kevin Smith. So obviously if you follow Clerks, Mallrats, any of those types of movies, you probably know who Kevin Smith is. Obviously he's also been in the news a lot for being overweight and then now losing a ton of weight, having a heart attack recently and stuff. But he's also a massive Star Wars fan. And he was talking to his podcast co-host on Fat Man on Batman, which is the name of one of his podcasts. And he was talking about the possibility of bringing in Ahsoka Tano into the movies. So along this conversation, he gets to... talking about, possibly bringing her into the movies via Solo or somewhere else. But now,
here's the one thing I kind of find odd with his statement.
Yeah, go ahead.
Because he basically goes to say, because now that they don't have Princess Leia stories to tell, they need another strong female character in the universe. I mean, what movies has he been watching? Yeah,
I mean, there's a lot of female characters there.
I mean, isn't the main character of the new trilogy a female?
Yeah. So I don't know if he means specifically in like the Old Republic time period, or not the Old Republic, but the original trilogy time period, or like in that time period around Clone Wars and original trilogy? I'm not.
The fact that he brings up Princess Leia, though, to me, he's talking about the classics, the live action universe. Like,
So I'm not sure. So
either way, I'm not shitting on Kevin Smith. I know he's a super fan. I know he's not an idiot. I know he appreciated TLJ, and he gave a great fucking explanation for why. So it's weird that it's weird that they got to this speculation on that idea.
Yeah,
is
on
what
like
I'm saying.
Needing more. I don't know. Maybe he just thinks that like you have Rey and she's gonna carry on the Jedi side, and you need somebody. Well, nope. Because Ahsoka's still going to carry on at least partially the Jedi side.
She's still a badass Force user. I mean, she's not a Jedi, but she's still very well learned in the Force.
Yeah. So anyway, somebody brought up to him.
He's pretty much saying that the fact that they've brought her back in this new Clone Wars reboot coming up, and that she's been featured in Rebels, he feels like that's all laying groundwork for her to potentially make it into the live action universe.
Yeah, and then some. Yeah, you know. And in a way, somebody told him like, "Oh, well, what if Kerry Russell's character is playing?"
That's where I was like, "No,
what?
I just don't see it." But then I'm like, "Well, Zoe Saldana fucking decked herself out in green paint and rocked it." So
yeah, but here's where it kind of falls apart. Is like he mentioned all of this kind of sprung from who's Rey's mom. So somebody says to him, "Well, what if Kerry Russell's?" Yeah, what if Kerry Russell's character
let's approach
it
from two different angles. What would you think about Kerry Russell just being Ahsoka?
I mean, she's of the appropriate... No, I mean, she's even too young, because Ahsoka was, in her 20s in Rebels.
Yeah, and Ahsoka would be pretty
60.
Freaking old. I mean, yeah, she would be older than Luke.
Yeah, she would be in... she would be in her...
Yeah, I mean, Ahsoka's got to have what? How many years on Luke?
I mean,
15, 18?
Yeah. In the beginning of Clone Wars, she was a young teen, so probably 13, 14. And by episode 3, she's 18? Somewhere around there, 17, 18? So
I don't know. Yeah, I mean, she was still technically a Padawan, so she might have been
16.
Yeah, let's go with 15, 16, possibly, when she got outcast. And so by Rebels, she was probably 26, 27.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So she would be about 67, correct?
Yeah, so that's what I was saying. She's somewhere in her 60s to 70s. I don't know how old... I'm trying to do a little bit of research.
Kerry Russell's not that old. I mean, they could definitely age her. I do not think they're gonna bring Ahsoka in. I mean,
no, definitely not to fucking episode 9. I don't think that would fit at all. That being said, I don't mind her being brought into the movie universe. Excuse me.
Oh, not at all. I mean, that's not what I'm saying. I was like, I'd take it in a heartbeat.
Yeah. So. But I'm trying to look here, like, what is the average lifespan of a Togruta? Because that is her, her race. That's her race
I mean,
character.
we'd have to expect she could at least live as long as a human at this point.
Yeah, I mean, I would assume human age or longer. So she would still be alive, but it wouldn't fit for Kerry Russell's character to play Ahsoka. And then on top of it, if you're saying that Ahsoka, this is where the speculation even goes further from here.
This is where the shit, honestly, I'm wondering what type of weed these guys are smoking.
Yeah, I mean, Kevin Smith is a huge fan of marijuana. He smokes all
this,
the time.
I don't even get how they make this connection.
Yeah, and he's like, oh man, that would be great if Kerry Russell's playing Rey's mom. And then somebody says to him, well, I think it's Mark Bernardin. That's his podcast host. He says, well, what if Kerry Russell is Rey's mom and she's Ahsoka? Where at that point I'm like, okay, how about that's just not going to happen.
Honestly, dude, I just remembered something.
What?
The end of Rebels. What does Hera's son look like?
She does look like, he does look like a human.
He looks just like a fucking human.
Yeah, he looks just like Kanan. Well, not just like Kanan, but like he looks like a human.
So, now that I think about it, I mean, technically, I guess if a human fucked an alien, they could still come out looking human.
Yeah, I'm not sure. God, I don't know.
They're not the same species because Hera is legit. She's straight up a Twi'lek.
Yeah, she's a Twi'lek, and then Ahsoka's a Togruta.
But they both have those built-in like head tentacle type of things.
Yeah. They're Leku, I think, is what it's called.
Because who was the Jedi Master in the prequels that was of Ahsoka's species?
Oh, that was
Fuck was her name?
Oh God, I just fucking saw it too. Shakti
Yeah.
is the Togruta Jedi master. But yeah, dude, I just don't see them. They're weird connections. If anything else, that's why I thought it was interesting, just because of the connections were kind of far out. Yeah. I mean, but that being said, there is a very strong lack of alien main or secondary characters within the Star Wars universe. There's not a lot. There's almost none.
It's Chewbacca.
Yeah, I mean Chewbacca is your only one.
That's it.
And
it's Chewbacca.
He doesn't even have speaking roles. I mean, you have more droid secondary characters and main characters than you have aliens.
Totally.
So, I mean, to bring somebody like Ahsoka into the movie universe would be fantastic, and it would also be fantastic because her character design is amazing. I mean, the colors of her character, the style, the lightsaber fighting style of her character, and then also
it'd be awesome. It's not going to happen.
Yeah, I mean, it's just
not in this movie, and probably not ever after the Solo
Solo,
disappointment.
yeah.
So I really do think things have been put on the back burner for now.
Yeah. I mean, aside from like what they know is going to make money, which is your episodic movies up until 9.
I think the Ryan stuff and the Game of Thrones duo, I think that stuff's still stewing. But I think anything that was going to be considered a standalone has been bumped.
Yeah, I mean, really anything that wasn't announced pre-TLJ, if you think about it, because what announcements have we gotten in terms of movie universe post-TLJ?
Oh, we've kind of said it all along. I mean, they've sent out cryptic shit like, oh yeah, we're going to have Star Wars movies rolling out through 2021, but they've never confirmed anything outside of what has been confirmed.
Yeah, exactly.
Like everyone's just pretended that there was going to be a Kenobi movie. I mean, that was never, ever, ever even remotely hinted at by anyone involved.
Yeah, not Ewan McGregor, not
ever
anybody.
I mean, really, the only confirmation we got was that, yeah, we were going to have a Tatooine type of movie.
Yeah.
We're going to have a movie set on Tatooine in that universe, but it was never, we were going to do Kenobi or we're doing Boba.
Yeah.
None of that shit was confirmed.
I mean, it was scrapped, so, I mean, the Tatooine
They've literally put out exactly what they said they were going to put out. They put out fucking Rogue One, and they put out a Han Solo movie.
Yep, and then after that, we'll see, because there's still, 2019.
No, I'll concede. I mean, Iger said we've got plans through 2020, 2021, which means that they had something lined up after 9.
Yeah, and I mean, at this point, we can infer that it's going past 2021. Because
of course. I mean, that all that was made before the Rian Johnson trilogy and the Game of Thrones duo announcement.
Yeah, exactly. So we're covered for a while, but
I really do think that a movie has been scrapped.
Oh yeah.
I really think they were going to do just the 2-year plan. There was going to be a 2021 film. Clearly not a 7, 8, 9 movie. It was going to be a standalone. Probably Kenobi, probably Tatooine, or probably Fett, and it's gone.
Yeah,
or Han Solo 2, it's gone.
Yeah, I mean, Tatooine for sure. We heard from that production assistant. They said that's been placed on the back burner, I believe is what he said. So, I mean, maybe not completely scrapped, but definitely like put on indefinite hold. So, not happening. So, yeah, I mean, if you guys are fans of crazy fan theories and if you like Ahsoka, that was a fun little, and then also Kevin also tweeted that to JJ.
Yeah, that's
or
the best part.
texted it to him.
Yeah, he didn't want to even tweet. He just said, "Yo, dude, do this."
Yeah, he fucking.
And JJ's probably like, "Hey, man, love you, but call me in the morning when you're not stoned."
Yeah, you're super stoned right now. I mean, Kevin Smith was even in TFA. Like, he played I think a voice role in TFA. So I mean, like, Kevin Smith's always been a huge Star Wars fan, even going back to Clerks. If you've seen the original Clerks movie, there's a huge.
Clerks, fucking Jay and Silent Bob Strikes Back. I mean,
yeah, literally stole like
the whole movie is nothing but Star Wars shit.
Yeah, I mean
Carrie's in it, Mark's in it, lightsabers.
Yeah, I mean
cock knockers.
That was hilarious that he got Mark to play that cock knocker role. Like it cuts his hand. I mean, fantastic stuff. If you like kind of funny, campy movies,
yeah,
go watch
dumb shit, like just moronic comedy.
Yeah,
I love it.
Solid stuff. All right. So now we're gonna move on to some Solo news. So for those of you out there who have been waiting for Solo to drop on DVD, Blu-ray, digital, your digital is now out. It released today, which is September 14th. So go on Vudu, go on Movies Anywhere, go on Ultraviolet, wherever you need to go to get your digital films. Pick it up there. It's available. And with that, we also got all of the extended features, all of the extra stuff, and with that comes deleted scenes. And we're going to talk about two in particular today. One is pretty damn good, one is so damn bad. So, Matt, which one do you want to kick off with first?
Let's go with the shitty one.
Yeah, that's a safe bet. So, there's one scene, so, you know, as you know, when they're on Vandor, we're talking about the whole crew here, Beckett, Han, and Chewie. It's a very snowy planet, and in this deleted scene, we see essentially Beckett leading the way with Han and Chewie to follow, walking through, looks like up some sort of ridge. And the whole time they're walking through the snow, Han and Chewie are just throwing snowballs at each other. Han's walking in front of Chewie.
Poorly. I mean, they're like stumbling and falling.
Yeah,
I mean, it as Nick said before we went live, it just looked like Alden
and Jonas were just playing around.
Just fucking around.
Yeah, I like when I was watching that,
and
too,
Woody's sitting there like, "Hey, assholes, what the fuck's going on?"
And it could have been because, like, I'm watching, I'm like, this doesn't even seem like a deleted scene. This just seems like an outtake. And then
it's like a blooper.
Yeah. So like, and I don't know. Maybe they're trying to show this. I mean, you know, Chewie being from Kashyyyk, and then Han being from Corellia, and then also, you know, obviously he was in Imperial, you know, military service, but it doesn't seem like he'd ever been anywhere with snow. So maybe it was trying to show that these two people, you know, Chewie and Han, didn't really know how to walk in snow really well, and they were so fascinated by being in snow that they were just throwing snowballs at each other. It was really fucking weird, and like, I'm not sure what the point of that scene was, but it was almost like two children.
There is no point, dude. It was legitimately a waste of time, money, and the crew.
Yeah, like to literally set up cameras to shoot that scene.
It wasn't even worth including on the behind the scenes shit.
Yeah, just really fucking weird, really fucking stupid. Anyway,
it should be taught. It should be used in film school for, yes, this is why a scene ends up on the cutting room floor.
Yeah, this is exactly the type of thing that
quite frankly, you don't even need to include it on the special feature section of the home release.
Yeah, it's like,
because it's that pointless.
You probably shouldn't be filming something like this unless there's a specific purpose to it to start with. And two,
I mean, that scene probably cost $100,000.
Yeah, just in like time, like you had to pay the DP.
I guarantee it. It was about $100,000 just to shoot that fucking clip.
Just complete waste of resources.
Cut, and it was cut because it sucked.
Yeah, it was just super bad. I mean,
but then you juxtapose it against the other clip that we've seen.
And it's like, this clip is...
It's night and day. I mean, this clip, you go like, well, how in the fuck do you cut this out of the movie?
Yeah, I mean, we've always known that Han had been kicked out of the Imperial Military Academy for, you know...
essentially their Air Force.
Yeah. Their Imperial Navy. So... And we always knew that he wanted to be a pilot. He said it right up front in the movie. Like, when he joined the Imperial Navy, he said, I want to be a pilot. And then we never get to see him fly in Solo, which, I mean, you know, say what you want about it, but it would have been a fucking great scene to see Han in a TIE fighter kind of doing his thing. And that's exactly what we get to see in this deleted scene.
Yeah.
And not only is it Han in a TIE fighter, but it's Han fucking crashing a TIE fighter, which leads him to get kicked out of the Imperial Navy and then into the infantry troops, where we immediately then see him on Mimban.
See, that's where, I mean, yeah, seeing him in the TIE, that's all cool, and the crash and him doing his thing is great. I honestly thought the interaction with him during his trial
was hilarious.
Was the best part, because it's so Han.
Yeah, it's
I mean, he's still just being a fucking smart-ass joker, playing with these guys who are essentially like, dude, you fucking disobeyed an order, you're a dumb fuck, you're out.
Yeah.
And
then,
just even the cut, they literally, Han goes, okay, well, that punishment's not as bad as I thought. So when do you think I'll fly again? And the dude says, oh, you'll be flying pretty soon. And they literally cut to the scene we see in the finished movie of Han flying through the air, getting blown up by like a mortar.
Yeah, it was fucking fantastic.
The whole scene is excellent, from the crash to the trial to right into Mimban. I mean, it is flawless to me in establishing Han as this fucking snarky-ass motherfucker, cocky-ass motherfucker, but a survivor.
Yeah, and, like, here's the thing is, you know, within the Imperial military, once we see that in Solo, we don't really get to see a reason why he gets, you know, why he wants to leave. I mean, obviously, he's on Mimban. He's an infantry trooper. He doesn't want to do that. But we never
wanted to be. Yeah, like he wanted to be a pilot.
Yeah, so we didn't get to see him like in a situation like this where he shows like his character and how it doesn't meld with the Imperial Navy. So I think this was really cool. It's unfortunate they got left out, but actually John Kasdan, one of the writers on the film, Larry Kasdan's son, addressed why it was removed from the film in a series of tweets that he put out earlier today. And essentially what he said was he loved the scene. It made it all the way, not to full post, but, you know, obviously enough to get filmed all the way through. But the reason that they removed it is because they felt like it bogged down it slowed down the story, and it took too long to get to where they thought the meat of the film started, and that was when Han met Chewie.
I don't know, man. I disagree. It was at most an extra 2 minutes.
Yeah, it's 2 minutes. It moved. It was.
I think it just would have been a nice expositional bridge from when we see him leave Corellia. Okay, yeah, he is a pilot. He fucked up. That's why he's a foot soldier.
Yeah, I think it would have been great. Like, you just
it was bing, bang, boom. There was no drawn-out dialogue shit. It was literally a 2-minute scene.
Yeah, I mean, if you would have just taken the cut... So, basically what happens in the movie, spoiler alert if you haven't seen it, is, like, there's a cut with him joining the Imperial military on Coronet Space Station in Corellia, and then it cuts straight to Mimban, where he's getting blown up. Like, all this would have been is, like, you cut from that scene at Coronet, then you go to this scene where he's in the TIE fighter, you hit the trial all in 2 minutes, and then you're back on Mimban. I agree. It would have been so easy to execute, and it wouldn't have slowed down anything at all. I think it would have. It's a miss that they didn't put it in.
I would have just rather not have seen it, because in the movie it still works, because the way they cut it now, I mean, he's signing up. He's like, oh yeah, I want to be an Air Force pilot. And the guy's like, sure, whatever you want. And then it's like, oh, he's on Mimban as a fucking a plebe. Yeah. And that still worked. That cut works perfectly.
Yeah,
and it is kind of funny because he's like, yeah, I'm gonna be a pilot, and he's like, yeah, whatever, dude.
Yeah, you think
he's getting blown up anyways, but I just thought the extra 2 minutes of exposition really, again, just helped cement the type of person Han was. I mean, he's not gonna play by the rules. He's gonna do what he thinks is right. And he's gonna say what he thinks.
Yeah, he's not like a yes sir, sorry sir.
Yeah, he's not a machine. Sir. I mean, he just it clearly shows that he wasn't cut out for the Empire.
No, yeah, 100%. So it's a fantastic deleted scene here, and there's gonna be a ton more on the Solo: A Star Wars Story digital release that's out now on Vudu and all of your other digital streaming sites or digital purchase sites. So go pick it up. If you haven't seen it, do yourself a favor and fucking get it because it's pretty dope. On Vudu, you can rent it too. You don't even have to buy it. Rent it. Definitely worth it.
Renting's for losers.
Drop the 25 like me and Matt. I actually got
spend the extra $10 and just have it forever. I honestly do not understand renting digital movies. I don't.
No,
that's a legitimate claim. It's like, why are you going to spend $5 when you could literally probably spend 10 more and just own it?
Exactly. Not worth it. And what was also nice is I got a $3 credit for pre-ordering Solo.
Oh, yeah. Dude, Vudu owns, man. People, you got to get on it. Because the best part is you buy it on Vudu. Even if you don't like Vudu, it's probably going to show up in your iTunes, your Fandango now, your Amazon Prime.
Yeah.
I mean, it's going to be whatever you like to watch your streaming shit through anyways, so who gives a fuck?
Yeah. Pretty good stuff.
Play the retailers off each other. Trust me. There's sometimes on Vudu, a movie may be $10. On iTunes, it's $5. Sometimes it's vice versa.
Yep.
Got to play the system. Movies Anywhere owns.
All right. So we're going to move into what we consider like the meat of this podcast, even though we're fucking 55 minutes in.
Yeah, there's a lot of random shit to talk about.
A lot of random stuff, but this is some heavy good stuff from John Kasdan, and I'm going to have you kind of like walk through it. Basically what happened was John Kasdan released a 52-point list.
Well, the whole reason, I don't know if you read the first tweet, but he basically said, in lieu of having a commentary on the disc, he took it upon himself to provide 52 useless Solo factoids and tidbits for anyone who's interested.
Yeah. So
Nick and I, being the hardcore Star Wars lore masters we are, we read through all 52. And we settled on a list of, what did we get down to? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 out of the 52 that we found very interesting. And really, I suggest reading through all 52 because if you're a movie buff, a Star Wars fan, or you just like insights into the production of a movie of this size, there are some good little anecdotes in there. But for the sake of time, Nick and I kind of cross-referenced our top numbers, and we came down with this list of 8. So we're going to start with the fourth useless Solo fact. And it just kind of mentions, and this is just, it's fun. Like, this is what I mean. These are little lore nuggets I like. So I'll just read it as he wrote it. Of course, Han told Leia the story of how he and Kira broke out of the den of the White Worms, and that's what gave Leia the idea to pull a real thermal detonator when disguised as a bounty hunter Bausch in Jabba's palace. I loved it.
Yeah. I mean,
because I thought, dude, when I saw that scene, I was like, well, that's clearly a call towards the Jedi scene.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, when he's holding nothing, he says, I have a thermal detonator. You're like, oh, okay, this is cool. Callback. I mean, like, that's what's fun about Solo, is there's a lot of moments like that where it's relevant to the plot at the time, but it also makes reference to the original trilogy. So, I mean, it was a really cool thing. And
it's just nice to hear one of the writers basically confirm that, they definitely mirror each other. Because I don't know about you, but I think any Star Wars fan worth their salt felt the same way when they saw that scene play out. They're like, well, this is clearly an homage to Leia.
Yoto.
Yeah, exactly.
So, I mean, it was great. And it's also cool to think about, like, Han and Leia sitting, like, Han kicked back with his feet up on the Falcon, reminiscing to Leia about, like, oh, yeah, there's this one time that I escaped from this, den of the White Worms. You want to hear how I did it? And just, like...
Yeah, essentially a mob boss. I mean, I forget what her name, or Proxima,
Proxima,
Yeah, something like that.
It was Lady Proxima.
Yeah, I was thinking Proxima Midnight from Infinity War, Thanos' daughter, but...
Yeah. But no,
same thing, Proxima something.
Yeah.
I mean, hey, same figure. I mean, Jabba's fucking gangster. She's a gangster. And, hey, gangsters are scared of thermal detonators.
They are.
Rocks that can break windows and burn your face.
Yep. All right. Next.
So the next one we decided on was number 7. And it was mostly, at least I'll give my reasons for picking it, but I'm sure Nick's are the same. But he explains the speeder chase at the beginning, how it went through many, many iterations. And I guess one of the ideas they were going to run with was that as they were... Because we know Corellia is a shipbuilding planet. I mean, we see it in a movie. They're building a Star Destroyer literally in one of the first scenes. So basically what they're going to do as Han and Moloch are racing through the streets, they're going to go through essentially a TIE fighter assembly line, and some of the cockpits were going to be loose and rolling around like big-ass balls that they had to avoid.
Yeah.
That would have just visually been fucking badass.
Yeah,
that's why I put it on my list.
Pretty cool, definitely to think about. I mean, can you just see? I mean, like obviously, there's stuff like that happens in a lot of different movies. Like if
it was a good race as it played out.
Yeah,
I just think this would have been fucking. It would have taken it up a level.
Oh yeah, dude, it would have been super cool. Like here's the thing that I first thought of, like that first came to my head when I read that, and it was the scene in Sherlock Holmes, I think it was the first one, with Jude Law and Robert Downey Jr., where they're in the shipbuilding yard and like they're fighting, and then all of a sudden something happens and this chain of events goes off to where like the ship that's being built starts getting like knocked into by a whole bunch of shit, and then like at the end of it, like Robert Downey Jr. is like fighting some dude on like the wharf where it's being built and almost gets run over by it. Like there's a lot of cool shit
yeah, I mean the heroes are essentially not only contending with their adversaries in some sort of fight or chase, but they also have to deal with the environment that's trying to kill them.
Yeah, it's a really fucking cool idea.
Yeah, that's why I put it on. Just like visually that would have kind of looked pretty neat.
Yeah.
All right, so the next one we got was 14.
Mm-hmm.
And the reason I think both of us picked this one is Kazan explained that the action sequence on Mimbom, where the Beckett's team eventually comes back and saves Han and Chewie, they were actually going to fully leave without them at one point in time, which would have forced Han and Chewie to jack their own starship and then to escape. So basically. They didn't do that, and
yeah, I mean, what Kasdan said is that it would have cost too much money, and it also just wouldn't have made the cut. But I think that would have been in perfect character with Beckett and his crew at the time.
Oh yeah, like he wanted to. It was Rio, right?
Rio was the one that was like, "Come on, we need them." Like you know that they're you could use them. So that's how they got on, but it would have made a ton more sense if fucking Beckett just hit hyperspace, got out of there, and then Han and Chewie jacked their own ship and just chased them down. Like that would have.
But the more you think about it, it's like, well, why would they even care to chase them down then? If they had their own ship to escape, then what the fuck do they care? So, and as he ends it, he's pretty much like, yeah, I'm glad we didn't shoot it.
Yeah, he said it would have cost.
Writing this now, I'm relieved we didn't actually shoot it.
Yeah.
So he's pretty much saying, yeah, I mean, it might have sounded great at one point in time, but now that I'm actually seeing it and writing again, it sounds kind of stupid.
Yeah. All right, so next up, what we got?
19, I believe.
Yeah.
So moving on to the next tweet in the series, and it was.
Yeah, this one says. So this one is not as much on the movie as it is something to look out for. Right. It says Kira casually references an Ithorian antiquities dealer named Doc Ondar. Remember that name, you'll see it again someday.
That's so deep though, man. Like, what is he teasing us here?
I know, Doc Ondar.
Because the fact that he's basically saying, hey, fucking take this shit to the bank, to me that's not saying, oh yeah, you may see it if we ever do a Han Solo 2. He's pretty much saying you're going to fucking guarantee come across this name.
Yeah, I mean, Doc Ondar, if we, I'm trying to, like, the first name, the first thing that kind of came to me when I heard this was Unkar Plot, but I don't think they're related in any way at all, just similar name structures. But, I mean, if
do you not take it as he's guaranteeing it, though?
Oh, yeah. It's definitely going to be in something, and what I'm interested in is, like, where is it going to be? Is this going to be in Clone Wars?
Is this cartoons? Is this going to be in Favreau's live-action series? Possibly.
Yeah. I mean, Favreau's live-action series, we know, takes place, like, pretty close to Episode 6. I think they said 10 years after Episode 6, 8 to 10 years after Episode 6, so it could definitely be there. But it's an antiquities dealer.
I know it's a weird. That's why I put it on there. It was a weird revelation.
Yeah, definitely interesting, and I want to see where it plays out and how it plays out. So, for all of you,
because like we said, to me it does not read as if he's implying like, oh, you may see it if we get to make more solo movies. It's saying you're gonna see this.
Yeah. So keep your eye out for
or
that
at least
name.
hear it again.
Doc Ondar, and he's an Ithorian. If you don't know what an Ithorian looks like, it's that extremely flat head that goes straight up. Their neck.
They're hammerheads.
Yeah.
That's their fucking name. I mean, that before everyone got a name. I mean, the original Star Wars, he was called Hammerhead.
Yeah. So keep an eye out.
Just like you had Snaggletooth.
Oh my god, that was hilarious. And pug nose and fucking.
Exactly. That's what I mean. Half the people were just named literally based on what they looked like.
Yeah. So what was the next one we got?
We had jumping all the way to 41. So we blew off this tweet onto his third tweet.
Yeah. So this one, I think I picked out because I think it's interesting to get an insight into.
Yeah, it was good. It's kind of some thinking material for you for what the people that created this story felt about the end product.
Yeah. So 41 says, does the movie work? I'm not the person to ask, but here's what I think does work. The moment when Han jumps into the pilot's seat of the Falcon for the first time.
Which, sorry to cut Nick off, but literally is in the last act of the movie.
Yeah.
Basically, I mean, the very tail end of the middle leading into the last.
Yeah, I mean, going into the Kessel Run. I mean, he essentially says, get the fuck out of the way. We need to do this Kessel Run in less than 12 parsecs, and I'm the one that can do it. Kasdan goes on to say, it's directed beautifully. Alden nails every movement and look, and unless you're actively resisting it, John Powell's perfect cue will make your heart swell. That moment is as good as this movie gets, in my opinion. And it was a fucking fantastic moment. And I mean, we knew that from the trailer. Like, when we saw that moment in the trailer, we were like, dude, this is perfect. Like, that moment in the movie was fantastic.
Without a doubt. But as we said offline, I think the interesting thing about this statement is he's essentially conceding that he himself doesn't fully believe that the entire movie works as a movie.
Yeah, I mean, and whether it comes down to critic reception or...
How do you mean I'm not the person to ask? I mean, dude, you fucking helped write the goddamn thing.
Yeah, it's like you and your dad wrote this movie.
Like, when you watched it, did you not feel it worked or not? I mean, to me, that's slightly concerning.
Yeah.
That one of the writers can't say if he felt the movie worked or not.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Maybe he's gotten beat down.
Did you?
Enough,
Okay, let me throw this out there. I don't know if you read every single one line by line.
I read most.
But did you kind of get the feeling that Kasdan was a C&P fan?
Yeah, because he says that. He says their name a lot.
He brings them up a lot. And by C&P, we're talking about Chris and Phil, the original guys.
Yeah, so
do you think that 41 is possibly his slight jab at the all the turmoil, and that possibly his two buddies got canned?
So here's what my thought on it is. I think that he heavily references Chris and Phil because they were the initial ones that took the script and brought it into a visual format, and then Ron. This is still not known. Like, we don't know exactly how much Ron did, and like he mentions
one of the points we didn't talk about. He did confirm that the Han Chewie meetup was 100%
Chris and Phil
C&P.
Yeah.
And honestly, it's one of the best scenes in the movie.
Yeah. So I think the reason that he references them so much is because they did bring to life so much of this film, and I mean that was even said, by Kathleen Kennedy and the Kasdans when Ron Howard came on, like, and even Ron Howard said it, like, Chris and Phil, their fingerprint is still heavily on this film, and
yet they didn't get directing.
They didn't get directing credits. They got executive producer credits. But
right.
Like,
they didn't get any. I mean, they got produced. They didn't get writing. Nothing.
Yeah. So I don't know. I think it's just those initial moments when they were building it out from the script to the screen to start was really heavy on him, and it really hit him big.
Yeah, I feel with what he comes out with in 41 when you cross-reference it with all his mentions of CMP, I feel like he may have or still feels a bit jaded.
Yeah.
At how things were handled.
Yeah. I think there's definitely a sour
Because to me,
taste.
I mean, if I am an artist and I work on a movie and I loved it, if I was putting out this statement, be like, does the movie work? Fuck yeah, it works.
Yeah.
That's my number 41. Does the movie work? Question. Fuck yes, it worked. Done. 42.
Yeah, he's definitely...
So the fact that he says, I'm not the person to ask, and he's copping out, he's pretty much admitting that he doesn't think the movie works as a whole.
Yeah.
He is.
Yeah, I mean...
I don't know how else to interpret that.
I'd like to hear his dad's take, though. Like, I'd like to hear what John had to say.
Right, because, I mean, in the end, this is a case of nepotism, so how much did John really do?
Yeah, that's what I would want to know, is, like, how much creative input and how much did John Kasdan write this movie and how much did Larry Kasdan write this movie? Because Larry is the one that we know.
Well, now you bring it up. Who did we hear may have been responsible for getting them moved on?
Well, I mean, yeah,
Larry Kasdan.
Larry was the one. Well, I mean, anything you put Larry on it's gonna get moved on. Like,
did he not say, like, hey, I mean, I like the guys, but the fact that they would shoot a scene 5,000 times and not really have an idea of what they were going for, they're just gonna pick a random take?
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing, though, is like,
in the end, Larry is the reason C and P more than likely got kicked.
Yeah, but I think when it comes down to it, like, John is still young. And obviously he's Larry's son. So, but Larry has been on Star Wars since Star Wars was created. I mean, like, he worked
Empire
on the
Strikes
first
Back,
one,
right?
And he directed Episode 6, and he's written on all of them. So,
I don't think he had anything to do with the original.
I think maybe not. Maybe he came in 5. But anyway, like, this guy is as Star Wars as Star Wars gets.
Like I said, he came in on Empire.
Yeah, he wasn't in Episode 4.
4 was all Lucas, 100%.
Yeah,
I mean, it was a no name. Well, he was not a no name, but it was a upstart director. Just did American Graffiti.
Yeah,
had his USC fucking filmmaker degree, and some crazy idea that Fox was like, hey, whatever, we'll take a flyer on it. You're gonna fucking fail, whatever.
Yeah. So, but when Larry looks at a director, especially a Star Wars director, having worked on TFA, having worked on, I think he even did some consulting on nothing on Rogue One, it doesn't look like. But I mean, like, having worked on as many Star Wars projects,
he's been involved with all of the main outside of the first Skywalker saga films.
Yeah, all of them in some form or fashion.
According to some people, the only films that matter.
But yeah, I mean, I can see it. I mean, if they were taking a lot of resources, a lot of time, and a lot of unnecessary takes, then, like, somebody did need to step in and say, like, hey, you guys need to either get your shit together or get your shit out of here.
You know what? I don't think he touched the prequels.
No, because that was all Lucas again.
Which shows, quite frankly.
Yeah, well, when Kasdan is primarily a writer. So, I mean, when Lucas doesn't want anybody fucking writing anything except
what do we bitch about with the prequels?
Yeah, the writing.
The fucking stories.
Yeah, so...
they're terrible.
But yeah, I mean, it is interesting to see that John was so attached
and honestly,
to Chris and Phil.
And you might have to fact check me, I don't think he had much to do with TLJ.
No. TFA...
At all. I don't think he was involved at all, quite frankly.
Yeah, I'm looking at his IMDb. Writer for TFA, writer for Solo.
There you go.
And then...
there you go.
Writer for 6 and writer for 5.
We could start a new Facebook group that basically says if Larry Kasdan's not involved in a Star Wars movie, it's probably not going to be that good.
Yeah. Like...
right?
Yeah.
There's valid evidence to that statement.
It's a pretty safe bet. And honestly, dude, JJ
I don't agree on TLJ, but I'm just showing. I mean, one of the more controversial movies in the series is a movie that didn't involve Larry Kasdan.
Yeah. Yeah.
Just like the prequels didn't involve him, and they fucking blow.
Yeah, I mean, Larry knows what he's doing in Star Wars land. I mean, he doesn't have any kind of in-production credits for episode 9 yet, but we'll see. I'm sure that JJ is not gonna turn away the creative services of
You might
Larry
be
Kasdan.
right. I mean, he did take on Terrio, so maybe Kasdan was left out of this one too.
Yeah, I don't know, man. Maybe.
Either way, his son definitely, I think, was throwing a bit of shade at the movie there in that statement.
Yeah. All right, so I think we got.
All right, so next one was 50.
50, big one.
Really, 50 and 52, the reason we had these on our list was just to kind of reiterate what we've been saying all along, and that's the fact that we are guaranteed missing out on at least one more Solo movie because of you assholes not going to see Solo. So 50 reads, I'm just going to sum it up.
Yeah, it's very long.
He basically says that Kira and Han's story has 3 acts to it. And we've only seen the first 2.
Yeah.
He ends this statement saying, the 3rd act, comma, the resolution of Han and Kira has yet to be told.
Yeah, so, I mean, first act is obviously them being young lovers on Corellia. And second act is the betrayal.
Finding each other again.
Yeah. And that's all we've gotten so far, so we don't have a resolution.
I still don't feel like she betrayed him because she fucking killed Homeboy.
Yeah.
And let him go.
I mean, I guess it's just like...
she leaves. I mean, we're talking like betrayal as like she's betraying their love, maybe?
Yeah, I think that's... I guess deceived is a better word to use instead of betrayed. That's probably more accurate.
They were all shady people, though. I mean, I think he understood that she does what she needs to do to survive. I don't know. Betrayal to me is it's an odd term for their relationship.
Yeah, I can agree there, especially considering that it was essentially a rekindled love by the time they got back together when they first met when they met again at Dryden's palace or Dryden's, pleasure body.
To me, again, the important thing here in this statement is he's once again confirming, as Alden has and Ron himself, that there were plans to make more of these fucking movies with this fucking cast.
Yeah. So,
and those plans, now that we'll go to 52, as John explains, essentially, I'm summing it up. Yeah, we're probably not going to get anything anytime soon, you fuckheads.
Yeah.
But, again, I'm just being a dickwad, but really what he essentially says is he doesn't really believe that Solo's domestic gross was the main reason that it was considered such a disappointment. It was the foreign box office, and he believes that's why the studio is going to be hesitant now to make any additional Solo movies.
Yeah, I mean, Solo was the first Star Wars movie ever to make less domestic or more domestic than foreign. It made $219 million domestic and it made $173 million in foreign. And that's never happened to a Star Wars film before, ever, in the history of anything. I think maybe outside of Episode 1 because it wasn't initially released in foreign markets. Or not Episode 1, Episode 4. So that's what killed it. Like, foreign carries a box office total.
Right, yeah. If you're wondering why would foreign screw things up? Well, you got to think about it this way. Essentially, the studios are expecting to just make their investment back on the domestic, and then they're expecting to make their cream on the foreign, and then a long run in the theater.
Yeah. So let's just look at, for example, a terrible movie in Jurassic World: Fallen Kingdom. This movie was, if you've seen it and you enjoyed that movie, one, there's something wrong with you. And two, you're the reason.
You have mush for brains.
Yeah.
Like, literally, you could be entertained by watching paint dry.
Like, that movie was trash. Anyway, that movie made $866 million in foreign box office, pushing it to a total of $1.3 billion worldwide. That's how these movies make so much money. Like, there's only 4 movies in the history of cinema that have made over $600 million in domestic U.S. gross.
Infinity War's got to be one.
Infinity War's one. Black Panther's the other. TFA, I believe, is another one. And then
Deadpool?
No, I don't think it was Deadpool. I think it was oh fuck, Avatar. Avatar was another one.
That's 4.
I'll look it up. Let me just confirm for you guys.
They have to be recent.
They are going to be relatively recent. Okay, so domestic, top all-time TFA, 936 million. So here we go. All right, so there's 9 now, and a lot of them are very recent. So TFA, 936 million, that's number 1. Avatar's number 2, 760 million. Black Panther's number 3, 700 million.
Star Wars rules.
Infinity War's 4.
Eat it.
Titanic's 5. Jurassic World 1 is 6.
See, that's crazy. I thought Infinity War ended up making more money than TFA. Is that just total?
Let's see. But
I mean, isn't Infinity War, did it unseat Titanic?
Infinity War made 2.046 billion worldwide, and TFA made 2.068 billion worldwide. So TFA is still in front of it, even in gross worldwide. And then the other one, TLJ, actually made over 600 million domestic, and then The Incredibles 2 made over 600 million domestic, along with the first Avengers. So those are your 9 movies in the history of movies ever. This is inflation adjusted. That's ever made $600 million worldwide. I mean, not worldwide, domestic.
Yeah, it's crazy, man. Avatar is still considered the highest grossing film of all time.
It is.
It's still Avatar, Titanic, TFA, Infinity War.
Because like Avatar had like 5 theatrical releases, then for some reason,
well, it was in theaters for like a year.
Yeah, it was in theaters for fucking ever, and like the foreign. I think that's the first movie where people realized like, holy fuck, foreign carry shit. Because this movie made over $2 billion foreign. It only made $760 million.
At least on this wiki, it's Avatar at 1 at 2.7 world, Titanic at 2.1 world, which is still fucking nuts. That movie came out fucking over 20 years ago.
Yeah, and then TFA is 3.
Then TFA, then Infinity War.
Then Jurassic World is 5. Yeah. So yeah, that's Box Office Mojo as well. But yeah, I mean, so you have to figure, people, if only 9 movies in the history of cinema have ever made over $600 million.
Guess what? None of these movies have ever won a Best Picture Oscar. That's the sad thing about the Oscars. I mean,
Titanic didn't?
Oh, yeah, I guess you're right.
I think Titanic did.
That's the only one.
Yeah. All the other ones, though, were like nerd movies. They're fucking Jurassic Park and...
Yeah, they don't get any credit. And that's why the Academy threw in like that Dick-Off award now, like most popular movie.
Yeah, I mean, that's essentially set up for Black Panther to win this year.
Well, the Panther, they're like, fuck you. We want the real shit.
Yeah. So we'll see who gets it. I mean, honestly, if it's between Black Panther and Infinity War, I feel like if you're going to go off a straight who saw...
I would choose Infinity War over Black Panther.
Yeah, I mean, like, more people saw Infinity War than saw Black Panther, period.
Well, yeah, if you're going for the popular word, sure, but I'm even just going movies. I think Infinity War is a overall more exciting film.
Infinity War was so good. I mean, it just like...
It's fantastic. I mean, I've seen it like fucking 5 times. That's the only Marvel movie I've gone Star Wars on.
Yeah. So...
I mean, Marvel movies, I'm usually 1 or 2, I'm good for a few years. Infinity War I saw 3 times in theaters, and I've already watched it twice at home.
Yeah. So, anyway, like we were saying, foreign is very important, and Solo did not hit in the foreign market.
So, I mean, the moral of the story is we really fucked up as fans. Not Nick and I, you guys. And because of that, we're not going to get to see the culmination of Han and Kira. We're not going to get to see Han, Chewie, and Jabba. You guys fucked it all up. Thank you.
Unless they start making $50 million Star Wars movies, I don't think we're going to get it. Like, it's just not in the fucking cards. But that is something that Kasdan said. In his last, in number 52, like we were talking about, he says, hopefully, he says, I think there are great Star Wars movies to be made that don't need to cost quite so much. I mean, Solo was very expensive, not only because of the director's switch, but just... It's very special effects heavy, as is every Star Wars movie.
Oh, sorry. I thought I found the Predator budget, and it pulled up Predator budget. I was like,
oh,
well,
the original Predator. Yeah,
yeah.
The original Predator is probably not nearly as high.
18. They shot it for 18 mil.
I mean, that's all done in literally the woods with 3 people. So,
in 1987.
Yes, I mean, you didn't have a lot of overhead for that shit. The most they probably paid for that movie was the Predator vision at the time. Like, that was their highest piece of the budget. But yeah, I mean, all of these points, if you haven't seen these tweets from John Cass, then go to his Twitter feed, and they're still
It's a good read. I mean, if you're a Star Wars fan, Nick and I, we're lore masters. We like the insights. I found it interesting. I mean, like we said, there's 52 points. We only covered 8.
Yeah. So there's a lot of good stuff in there still. And like Matt said, to open it up, it's not just focused on, I mean, obviously it's all around Solo, but you also get in like inspirations, things, where scenes came from, where they drew inspiration from directors like Kubrick, from storyteller, from Lovecraftian lore.
Yeah, he does a lot of that shit.
Stuff
it's
like
just
that.
like, I mean, that stuff's interesting to me, but on the air, it's not. It's just like kind of foo-foo, blah, blah talk.
Yeah, so...
Like, and really, half the people would have no clue who we're talking about, and quite frankly, I probably didn't know half the people he's talking about anyways.
Yeah. So, we still got one more topic to cover on this one. This one's going to be a bit of an extended podcast since we were off last week.
We're at 126. Let's do it!
Anyway,
keep going!
We got...
Push through!
Another pretty good drop. About
late drop today. I mean, this thing dropped like 3 p.m., 3:30 East.
Yeah. I mean, it was still pretty late. And this is on Star Wars Resistance, the new cartoon series coming to Disney Channel. And this new video is not focused on Team Fireball, which is what we think is the primary team that's going to be, at the forefront of Resistance. You have Kaz, who is your main character, who's the Resistance spy. He's going to be accompanied by BB-8 sometimes, and then you also have the rest of the crew that's going to be working on, the ship and stuff like that. Now, this new team that we're introduced to, but this new group of pilots that we're introduced to are called the Aces, and they are. And
honestly, it answered a question we had last time. Because remember, when we went through the Team Fireball, both were like, well, what about that girl in the aqua jumpsuit? I mean, she's featured in the fucking poster and this, that, and another thing. Well, we finally found out who she was.
Yeah, so we go. This video goes on to introduce all the members of Team Fireball, and then not Team Fireball, the Aces, the top pilots that are on the station that is holding all these races, where they're all coming from, and obviously we think that they are the defenders of this station. So we get to meet all of them. We get to learn.
they're like Red Team.
Yeah.
Like Biggs and Wedge and Luke, they're Red Team.
Yeah.
I mean, they get deployed when the station is under attack.
Yeah. And then if you guys are fans of Star Wars cartoons of old, specifically Rebels, we have returning cast member Mary Elizabeth McGlynn, who played, oh my God, Governor Price from Lothal. She's coming back, and she's playing a new role. As she's not Toradoza, she's the other
Freya.
Yes, Freya.
Freya Fenris. The Ace is essentially this team, the strike team, if you will. You have Toradoza, who I think is going to be like their main. She's essentially the daughter of the captain of the base, and she's going to be at least buddy with Kaz.
Yeah, she was the one in the light blue jumpsuit.
Right. That's the mystery girl we were wondering about the last time. So we finally got to figure out who she is, and she's clearly going to be like another main, at least with this group, if not for the series. Then you have Hype Phazon.
Played by
literally
who?
His name. Hype space Phazon, and he's voiced by none other than Donald Faison. If you don't know who that is, you suck.
Watch Scrubs.
Watch Clueless.
Clueless.
It's about all he's ever done. Doesn't matter. That's all he needs to do. He's great.
He is. He's a funny dude. And what's great about that is Dave Filoni came out and said that Hype Phazon was designed as a character after Donald Faison. Like, he built Hype to be basically Donald.
Yeah, like his character in Scrubs, essentially.
Yeah, so, and Filoni said that that's the first time he's ever done that, based the character in a cartoon show off of an actual person. And, I mean, Faison, like you said, he's done a lot of good work, Clueless.
Yeah, I mean, he literally, I mean, obviously sounds just like him, acts just like him, except he's a Greedo alien.
He's a Rhodian.
Yeah, Rhodian. There you go. I forgot their species for a second.
Yeah, I mean, he looks like he's going to be a fun character to kind of keep up with. So
right.
very, very
honestly, my personal favorite, just based on his looks, is Griff Halloran.
Yes.
Who is a former TIE fighter pilot turned, I guess, rebel sympathizer type of guy. But he's like the old crotchety motherfucker. I mean, you can tell he probably got into the Empire at a very young age, maybe right at the turn of the war against the Separatists. He's old, he's curmudgeon-y like, but he just looks badass. I mean, he's a big dude, he's got no sleeves, and he's still wearing his TIE fighter helmet. I love it.
Yeah, and I mean, if you look at his ship too, it's essentially like a TIE, like the cockpit of it is the TIE ball, the typical TIE ball shape, and the rest of it is like modified with other parts from other ships. It looks really cool. So yeah, it's definitely an awesome design for the character and the ship.
And then, like Nick said, you're going to have Freya Fenris, who is voiced by the same actress that brought Governor, Price to life?
Yes.
Who was essentially heavily featured in seasons, I believe, 3 and 4 of Rebels, especially 4. I mean, she played a major part in the last few episodes in the finale. But Freya, in terms of the character in Resistance, she almost, to me, came off as like a Russian Viking type of female strong warrior lady.
Yeah, exactly. She's playing, she's like an Eastern European. That's like her accent that she has. She's no nonsense from the look of it, but she says...
Yeah, she's like a Helga type of woman. Like, like spaghetti and meatballs or goulash, badass, you don't want to fuck with her.
Yeah, so... She looks like she's gonna be a really cool character as well. And then you have your final, who's the final?
Bo Keevil. He's essentially the evil Knievel of the group. I guess he basically has no fear. He's always crashing when they're racing.
Risk taker.
I couldn't tell. Did he look like a droid, or is he more like a Two Tubes type of guy?
That's what I was wondering too, because we didn't get to see him with his flight helmet off. But
like he and even his helmet, like he's got very specific air tubes going into it.
He almost looks like we don't see the rest of his head, but Plo Koon always wore that mask as well.
Yes.
So he he is. He's okay. Now that I'm looking at the full character design,
that's exactly what he is.
Yeah, he's definitely. Let's look up. I don't remember what Plo Koon's race is. He is a Keldor. He is a Keldor, and that is what. That's what.
Yeah, I think you're 100% right, because it's the same thing. Like their skin and the top of their head's exposed, but their eye, nose, and mouth are covered in this metal breathing apparatus, essentially.
Yes, yeah. So and like they go on to describe in the video, like his ship is crazy. Like it's got 4 wings that can move into different positions on command, and it's like apparently he's always crashing, and he's like the daredevil, like you said. He's like the evil Knievel, the risk taker of the group, and it's setting up.
Well, I mean, I guess it kind of makes sense, because the word always was that Plo was one of the best Jedi pilots ever. I mean, up there, if not better than Anakin himself.
Yeah, Anakin. So maybe Keldor is not.
Yeah, it's like their race is just attuned to it.
Yeah, so not only does Plo have the Jedi sensibilities and the use of the Force, but he's also just a naturally attuned pilot.
It's kind of like, I mean, Wookiees are naturally inclined to be engineers. I mean, they can fucking rebuild and take apart anything.
Yeah, so
or fix shit. I mean, that's why. I mean, half the fucking saga, what's Chewie doing? Fucking cranking on a goddamn ship.
Yep, exactly.
Getting yelled at. It's like.
Oh my god.
Those original movies are so good.
But I mean,
the ball busting that goes on between not only Han and Chewie, but C-3PO and R2, it's just, you can't beat
it's
it.
just constant deriding of each other. Mostly, I mean,
C-3PO is the biggest dickhead on the fucking planet.
I know.
Any planet he's on, he's always going to be the biggest dick because of how he treats R2-D2.
I really hope that at one point, and I don't think it's ever going to happen, but like a fanboy hope of mine is to somehow get an official translation of what R2 says in every movie. Just to see if he is just being treated like a dick or if he's being an asshole and getting what he's getting. Exactly, yeah, because there's some of those chirps and shit like that sounds like he's giving 3PO shit.
Yeah, he's like, hey man, hey fuck you, Goldenrod, eat a dick.
I would love to see something like that.
If you watch A New Hope, like the beginning act.
Oh yeah, dude.
You can't help but walk away and be like, man, C-3PO is a fucking dickhead.
Yeah, just like smacks him on the head. He's like, get the fuck out of here.
You
Go
idiot,
your
you
own
piece
way.
of shit. You bucket of bolts. You good for nothing. I mean,
dude, he's so rough. I mean, just such an
nonstop.
asshole.
I mean, all he does is fucking yell at him.
Yeah.
And when you think about it, I mean, if you look at their relationship in the prequels, he's probably just getting back at him because, R2 pushed him down that shaft on Geonosis and
made him lose his head and fucking
yeah,
go into that war. Shit.
They were never truly like brought up as brothers. I mean, they were introduced through circumstance, and
yeah,
they just one happened to be the byproduct of Anakin, the other happened to be a droid that Padme owned.
Yeah, so yeah, their relationship, I really hope, and I know that like episode 9 is gonna not be focused on, it's focused on the new characters, but I really do hope we get to see at least one or two interactions between C-3PO and R2-D2.
Well, yeah, because we got Zero in TLJ.
Yeah, because TLJ, I mean, R2 was on Acto.
They were separated the whole time.
Yeah. So I mean, I really do hope we get something like that. And it is weird though to see.
Now you bring it up. I think that's the first movie where they haven't been together.
Yeah, I mean, well, that and TFA obviously.
Yeah, but
R2,
they eventually were together.
Yeah,
R2 was just turned off.
Yeah, at the end they came back together, but yeah, I mean, all the way through TLJ, they weren't there because R2 was off
they didn't
in the Falcon.
It's the first movie they literally didn't interact with each other because even in their cameo in Rogue One, C-3PO is like blah 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 blah, and R2's like fucking eat a dick.
Yeah,
right. I mean, essentially.
But yeah, man. I mean, but back to the Aces and back to Resistance. I really like the way that the dynamic between the Aces is built, but also how they are going to interact with Fireball.
I agree. So, I mean, are they going to be friendly, but they like to race each other? I mean, is Team Fireball another race team? Are they also protecting the ship? Are they truly this Resistance fucking cell? Or is it literally just Kaz?
Yeah, no, that's going to be
is the Resistance looped into this water station?
See, because that's what, if you listen to Faison, like Donald Faison talk on this introduction video, he goes into saying like, this show has espionage and it has, fighting and it has racing and stuff like that. So the fact that he brought up espionage as like a large part of it makes me think that it probably will start off as Kaz as the spy, but it might like eventually like loop in other members.
Right. Like I mean, do the Aces get involved, or is he playing them too, or just keeping it secret from them? And he's on this station that's his front, and he's running the Resistance operations from there just by himself.
Yeah. So there's a lot of,
and even Team Fireball again. That's just all part of the setup.
Yeah, there's a lot of opportunity to kind of wrap all of these different players in together, and then not only make him your Kaz your primary focus for the espionage part of it. You can bring in everybody else, and I think that would be pretty cool. So, yeah, man, I'm digging what I'm seeing from
I like it. It's another thing that's unfortunately in this new era of Star Wars fandom. I mean, it's gotten its fair amount of shit thrown on it for whatever reason. I don't know if this is still TLJ solo backlash, or if this is just the new America and the new world with Star Wars. But I mean, like I said, we talked before when they did the first trailer, there was like a meme going around showing the number of dislikes between the announcement for the Clone Wars revival and this.
Yeah, and
trying to prove the point, like, see, anything new Disney's doing's fucking shitty.
Yeah, but what people don't realize is, like, Clone Wars is not old Star Wars. Disney's still fucking making it. Like, it's still Disney. It's still Filoni. Like, it's still the same guys. It's just... It's continuing a story
it's being put out under a new studio versus just Lucas's Lucasfilm. It's now Disney's Lucasfilm.
Yeah, like, I mean, come on. It's
anything new that comes out, they feel like it's an affront to their fandom for some reason. I don't get it. It's like, people, it's an art form. Watch it. If you don't like it, you don't like it. But you truly can't know if you're going to like it or you're not going to like it until you fucking watch it.
Yeah, exactly. Like, watch the
You can't rely on other people's opinions because they are just that. They're an opinion. As close as Nick and I line up on a lot of this Star Wars shit, we still have our own opinions, which was clearly marked out over the TLJ episode.
Yeah. I mean, here's
what would I've loved for us to both love it? Of course.
Yeah.
We didn't.
I mean, every time Matt and I turn on a podcast, we're always hyped to talk about topics, and we do. Like, you're right, we share a lot of the same opinions, but, like, just because we had a differing opinion on TLJ doesn't mean that we can't fucking talk to each other anymore. The podcast has continued.
Well, it's also, if Nick came up to me and I hadn't seen the movie yet, and he laid down his opinion, like, it's okay, I really don't like this, and this, I'd be like, okay. I still would go see it.
Yeah, and
I'd want to go see it more now to be like, all right, well, I respect this guy. Let's see if he's right.
Yeah. I mean, you have to, I mean, people now have to realize that Star Wars is not going to end at episode 6 anymore. Like, it's continued. It's continued.
Well, dude, I think it's anything. It's anything opinion based. I don't understand those who seek out others to make up their own mind, especially when it comes to this art form where it's pretty affordable at this point.
Yeah, I mean, $8 matinee. Go sit down.
I'll give it to you on a video game. I could see where you're willing to take someone else's opinion to make up your own mind, because these days we're talking $60 to $100.
Yeah.
All right, I'll give you that, and I'm still hesitant to even give you that, because games are art. Art still is going to resonate differently with every single fucking person on this planet.
Yeah, man. I mean,
that mentality makes no sense, where someone just says, "Oh, it's fucking terrible," and you're like, "Yeah, it's fucking terrible." Yeah, well, dude. How do you know? Well, he said it. Okay, well, that's great. That's what he thinks. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, and if you look at reviews for these movies too, I mean, some of them are wildly different. I mean, some people gave Solo, I mean, like, I gave Solo, an 8.4, I think, and other people gave it a 7. Some people gave it a 3. Some people gave it a 5. Like, there's almost no movie that comes out that is a consensus, whatever number you choose in your head. Like, there's going to be differing opinions from everybody who sees it, and you can't rely on one person to try to tell you whether you should enjoy something or not. And that, like you said, that's video games, movies, music, any type of art form is going to be hard for one person to tell you whether you'll like it or not. You have to make that decision.
And honestly, I recommend this to anyone, especially with movies, books, shit that you can, get pretty
cheap.
Yeah. Don't read any reviews before you see it. Don't talk to anyone before you see it for yourself. Because I can tell you right now, someone that's been a pretend critic for 8 years, it's impossible to go into something that is a work of art after already reading someone else's opinion and then forming your own unbiased opinion.
Yeah, I was going to say,
you can't do it.
You're going to go in with an ingrained bias if you do.
It can't be done. I'm telling you. It's human behavior. Like, if you already know what someone else thought about something, you're going to let that shit seep into your subconscious, and it's going to affect the way you interpret that work of art.
Yeah.
I promise you. Even if it's shit.
Yeah, even if it sucks, and even if it's just you comparing your opinion to that person's, like, it's still affecting the way that you view the medium or view the, whatever it is that you looked at.
Yeah, I prefer going into films, games these days with no one else's opinion but what I'm going to form based on my experience.
Yeah, it's way better. It allows you to just to make the experience your own, basically. So
yeah. Anyways, well, that's our Dr. Phil session for this podcast, and that's actually going to wrap it because I think we've set a new record, my friend. We're now hitting the 1 hour and 45-minute mark.
Yeah, this was extensive.
We had a lot of hot air to get out, but that's what happens sometimes when we take a week off. And naturally, we had this deluge of Star Wars tidbits that popped up today, so we're thankful for that. We had to get it all out. It took a while. You know, you can always hit pause while you're listening. Hopefully you did if it wore on you a bit, but we've made it to the end, and like we said, we left you with some life advice. I'm being dead serious. Take it to heart. Don't read as many reviews. You might actually start to enjoy your life again, because in the end, it is your life, and your opinions are yours, and it doesn't matter what other people think. You just got to get used to that. All right, buddy. It's been real. People listening, we love you. Keep tuning in. Share it around. Spread the links. You know we're everywhere. You can iTunes us. You can YouTube us. You can Stitcher us. You can Android us. You can Google us. It doesn't fucking matter how you do it. We just need you to do it. Spread the word, people. May the Force be with you. Always.